questions or comments for Joe to respond to. If anybody wants to put up their hands now and ask it now, it would be much helpful. Yeah?
What was it like serving the prison sentence for standing up for what you believe in?
It was tough, but I think the fact it was a lot less than what they promised me.
Any torture or stuff that you hear about?
No, I think not in that sense, but it was pretty badly run prison, to be honest. The military's pretty freaking anyway, but a military prison, you can imagine, is probably worse than that. And I think I got through it, but there's a lot of guys in there who come back off tour with PTSD and mental illness, and they got no treatment whatsoever. But the matter of policy, the army doesn't diagnose it. They diagnose adjustment disorder, and that was hard to see. That was probably torture, and to see the other guys go through that.
Anybody else want to ask a question? Comment?
I would just like to ask, what next? After the rally, are you trying to get more influence to kind of put pressure on to end this? Or?
I'd like to, yeah. I guess I feel obliged now. It's a duty, same as it was at the start. I mean, I'd like to keep scrapping it out. And I obviously kind of want to expand my knowledge, you know. I mean, I'm just a dumb squaddy when you get down to it. But I'm at uni now, and so every day is a kind of learning process, and I'm finding more and more. And but yeah, I'd like to take all that and do something more and keep putting pressure on them.
With the messages that you've received from serving soldiers, do you think that there will be more of them coming out and doing as you did and speaking out to the media?
I think it's hard to say. That'd be the ideal situation, I suppose. But I've never, at any point during my process, said, well, we should all do this, because it was very much my position. But if they want to, then there's something of an infrastructure there now for them, and there is a forum for them to voice their concerns. And we know something about the process, the legal side, and the rest of it. So I hope so.
Excellent.
What was your understanding of the conflict before you said you went?
Before I went to Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Nothing really. So I was a working class kid who needed a job, and I joined up, and they fill you full of a lot of rubbish and send you out there. And even the message we did get was very, very confused throughout. One day, literally from day to day, it would be, well, you're there to stop the opium being grown, and then you're there to liberate women, and then you're there to liberate Afghans. And it's shifted, which is probably when alarm bells started ringing, because it changed every day, and we didn't seem to be doing any of that in practical terms.
What did you think of the Afghan people? Were they welcoming?
Yeah, no, they were welcoming. The ones I had contact with, I think Afghans are naturally quite friendly people, and they have obviously the Pashtun Wali, a very strict code of which concerns hospitality and stuff. But they were friendly. I didn't get the impression they wanted us there, which I can't really blame them for. But I think they're very welcoming people in my experience.
That's low key.
Before I answer that, any other questions for Joe? No, he's coming. He's got a little bit lost, so we're just waiting for him. But he is on his way. What can you do? Sat nav these days. Can I take this lady here and then Joe after?
Yeah. When I think about it, I think it's illegal. That's it. Bottom line. Rendition, to me, is a kind of term that's used to cover it up. It's kidnapping and torture and illegal detention. That's it. I'll be blunt. That's what it is. Yes, mate.
I wanted to ask you a question about Guantanamo. You know when it was initially developed?
What's that, mate? Sorry, I can't hear you.
When initially Guantanamo was developed,
yeah.
It was obviously against human rights, it was illegal. What about now in the overseas strike? What do you think now?
I think it's an absolute tragedy. It's still going. I think
people still suffering.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think they are still suffering. There's still people in there.
It's still. They've got mental. It's mentally still affecting people.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I've met some guys I met Mozambique, and he told me about his experiences, and it's deeply traumatic. I mean, I don't know how you kind of in the end kind of balance that, because those guys will come out damaged, years away from their families, and all the the sensory deprivation and waterboarding they would have gone through potentially at some point is sickening, really, isn't it?
Did you have your hand up?
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask if you got an insight at all to any Afghani people and their stance towards the English and the Americans And what were the majority resentful, or were they just upset about the whole situation?
It's difficult, I think, other than kind of outwardly to really engage with them, because our contact was when we were guarding the camp and we were armed, so people aren't that engaging those times. I mean, on the whole they were friendly, but I think I got the impression attitudes to the Americans, they didn't like the Americans particularly, but I think it's a lot to do with how they conduct themselves. We used to see them going out with in Humvees with skull and crossbones painted on the side, and they'd all wear massive amounts of body armour and Ray-Bans, which isn't very kind of sociable really, is it? But, so yeah, I think we probably made more effort well I certainly did, to talk to people and engage with them. But it's always difficult in that situation because we're an occupying force.
Have you met any compromising forces that share the same beliefs as you?
Yeah, there are. It's not the culture of speaking out, or the culture of silence is really, really ingrained in the military. So it's hard. It's a big, step to take to do it. But hopefully, some more will. And there are guys in contact with me. There are guys who've said quietly, even fairly high-ranking guys, when I was going through the process, who said, "Well, we agree. You're only saying what everyone else is thinking." But it's a big leap from that, and I know it's a difficult leap to take that next step and actually do it. But people do dissent in the ranks.
Okay, just one more and then we'll move to the next speaker.
What do you feel about the threat of the Taliban? What you've seen?
To Britain,
No, your experience.
of the Taliban. Taliban are extremely good at what they do. I'm not saying I agree with the Taliban, because I don't, to an extent, I don't agree with what they do. But they are on home territory. They are very efficient at what they do. And I think because it's effectively, essentially a Pashtun movement, I think they're the last people in the world who need to be liberated from anyone, because they do it for themselves quite well, and they have done consistently throughout history.
Thank you, Joe. And,
Cheers.
and for me, every time I hear him.